This is a short little video that's going to be about the free community version of Maltego. Maltego is a tool used in OSINT, open source intelligence, where you can gather data on something without any active scans, anything that just public data. There's just public data that's out there. So the screen I'm looking at right now are what Maltego calls transformers, but are probably better understood as connectors. These connect, each one of these connects to an API of somebody that has data that you can use a transformation on. This will make more sense in a minute. Everything that's gray is something I've installed. So let's say I uninstall this real quick, just to show how the installation works. You literally see something like this. It's free. It's about Google search dorking transformations. You just say, yeah, I want to install that. And it says, are you sure? Yes. And you say finish, and you're done. And now that's going to be part of your investigation. So you could actually use Google dorking techniques in looking data up. Alien Vault. So I have some computers monitored with Alien Vault. If I were to install this, I would be able to pull the data from Alien Vault on those machines being monitored, well, scanned, I should say. And I could pull that scan data up into a chart. For FlightAware is in here, so you get flight information, news data, all kinds of stuff. This one called LittleSis. This one is what I'm going to focus on for a demonstration of Maltego and its power. So LittleSis is the opposite of Big Brother. It is a free database detailing the connections between powerful people and organizations. And this is by Maltego itself. So they are maintaining it. It is free. So let's go ahead and see how we can use it. And so you get an idea of what the free version of Maltego can do. Notice it says not for commercial use because I'm using the community edition. So let's take a look at, so let's start with somebody that's somebody famous, Bill Gates. When you right click on Bill Gates, you get some options here. It's gonna default to this. There's something called machines. We're not gonna do that. I'm gonna look at this plugin I have called LittleSis. And let's just search LittleSis and say, do you have anybody in your system for Mr. Gates? And it comes back with 3 results. It says, yeah, I got, sometimes my mouse gets stuck on one of these entities. So I got this guy here, I have a William Gates, and I have a Bill Gates Sr. When they come in with this different like iconography, like this one has like the suit and tie as opposed to this generic silhouette, this usually means that the actual plugin has some data. So let's take a look and see now what contextual transformations we can do. So I go to LittleSis, and you notice there's a to all relationships. It sounds a little vague, but what that means is it's going to look for every relationship in their repository on this individual. There's also a to specific relationships. So maybe you don't care about education or family, but you want to know about donations this person has made. Well, you could click that, and it's thinking. It's done. Oh, there it goes. And so it found that Mr. Gates made these donations. And you could pop into these donations that are all public information, and you could see Bill Gates gave money to Breakthrough Energy Catalyst. Interesting. All right, well, before we get into that, let's say I change my mind. I actually now want to see all the data there is. So let's just give it to me. Give me all the data. And so it comes back with a lot more information. We have family, social connections, those same donations. We also have ownership information. So let's make sure we're talking about the same Bill Gates. And I just picked up the first ownership field, and it says Bill Gates is an owner of Microsoft Corporation. Okay, so we know we're talking about the right person. What is this? There's also something called Gates Ventures. I didn't know about that. So you can copy this data point and you can say, okay, let's look at this company, Gates Ventures. Okay, and then you say search LittleSis for, do you have anything on this company called Gates Ventures? And it says, well, I think maybe I do. So we say, okay, give me everything you have on that. And it says, well, there was a, so there's this ownership connection, which it validates to Mr. Gates. And it's called Gates Ventures. A donation went out from them to something called Climate Works Foundation. So we could grab that too. And you can see where this is going. You can just keep drilling down, trying to fill out all this data. So you could say, well, do you have information on this LittleSis? And LittleSis says, oh, I do. There's a foundation, and let me tell you all the information about it. Let's see if they have. Ooh, interesting. I've never seen this one before. So let's see. So this foundation is making donations as well. Let's take a look at the transaction. So it says a guy named this did business with Climate Works for the amount of that. Now this is public data, right? There's no hacking. There's no doing some illegal activity. This is all legal. This is out there in the public domain that this particular person did business. Well, who is this person? Well, we could bring this person in now and say, tell me, LittleSis, do you know anything about him? And it says, I do. And it gave me a funny looking scientist deal here. So I'm going to say, okay, first off, what is that? That icon means, oh, look, he's an energy program chief scientist. Okay, interesting. So now we know that this guy's a chief scientist. So let's look at their relationships. We're getting into some lobbying data now. So there's a co-author. Something is listed as a co-author in some professional thing, and then you have this lobbying data. What is this lobbying data? This person lobbies for this person. I don't know what that really means. Doesn't sound like political lobbying. Maybe it is, because we would have to ask Maltego itself what that means, or dig into their documents, but we can see that there is this other person that is being okay, there's nothing on it. I don't think there's anything on this person too much. Ooh, wait a minute. Okay. This is getting a little interesting. So we can start. I'm just separating it so it's a little easier to read here. Okay, there's a social connection here with somebody. I'm not going to dig into that, but you can look at these positions this person has held. Governor Newsom. So she's connected to Governor Newsom. I see. So let's go put Governor Newsom in here. LittleSis, do you have any information on Gavin Newsom. Oh, I'm sure you do. So now you have, he's even listed it with this icon that he's actually a politician. We can then say, I don't want all relationships. I would like to see, okay, you know what? Let's do all relationships. I was just wanting to see the relationship with this particular person, and I don't think Maltego is going to give me that. Okay, so now we're going down this rabbit hole now. Let's zoom out. Let's just take a breath. Okay, we started at the top looking at Mr. Gates. We verified it's Bill Gates of Microsoft. And there's a company called Gates Ventures. Gates Ventures, who's this over here? Okay. This is a person that should be looked into as well. If you're really investigating something or if you're looking into something, you'd probably say, well, this person holds a pretty significant position in Gates Ventures. So let's take a look at that. And I know I'm going down a big rabbit hole here, but it's actually quite entertaining. All right, what do we got? Let's start at the beginning. Mr. Gates has these donations. So we noticed a donation, well, we noticed one company he owned is called Gates Ventures. Great. That, see, that turned here. Let's actually, since I think this is an important relationship, oh, it's not letting me do it. Usually you can transform the, anyway, usually you can transform the color of the lines, but it's not letting me do that. Anyway, there's this ownership to Gates Ventures. Gates Ventures has these people of different positions. You see you have a staff scientist here. You have, what is this guy? Oil and gas fellow. This is a Unconventional Resource Technology Advisory Committee. Ooh, that's a mouthful. This is with the United States Department of Energy. Okay, so can we change that? No, I don't want to mess with that. And then you have this, which is a number. Oh, I see. There's a petroleum company here. See how much we can see it. We could write a whole Tom Clancy novel with this. I mean, so now you have this guy Brian, and he's connected to the Gates Ventures, right? You have this other guy. Well, we're going to ignore these people. Let's delete these. These are not relevant. And let's go down. So Gates Ventures does these donations. They also have this thing called ClimateWorks Foundation. We pull in ClimateWorks Foundation because we say, I'm going to make it red. Because it looks interesting, right? Gates Ventures is somehow connected to ClimateWorks Foundation, and I think they gave money to them. So we say, well, who is ClimateWorks? And we find out that they're making donations, and they have this membership in something called the Global Impact Investment Network. I haven't even looked into that yet. But out of this, there is a transaction. And so this transaction from that foundation to a particular individual for $400,000, well, it just looks interesting. So we say, okay, who is this guy? Well, this guy is a scientist. So he's a chief scientist at the Carbon Fuel Program of Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Okay, he's also a co-author with this particular person. Okay, maybe it's not interesting, but this is the real interesting stuff. These lobbying connections. Right, and you can start to see, you can see the usefulness of this, where, you know, money's going in, and where people are lobbying, maybe not financially, but they're lobbying for this particular person. And in fact, there is a financial transaction here. Does it show how much? It does not show the amount, but it says Energy Futures Initiative, and this person did business. Okay, that's not very useful. So, but that person is then connected to Governor Gavin Newsom of California. Right, he's the governor of California, and this person is connected to him because she holds this position as a director in Gavin Newsom's Office of Planning and Research. So we can start to see that there is a connection between Bill Gates and these individuals who all, through various foundations, and it probably means nothing, right? But you can see that if you were doing an actual investigation, how much detail you can pull out of this. And this is all the free version. This is using the free version with the free plugin LittleSis, and you get all this data. So, this is enough data that you could write a blog article on this and say, show up to Governor Newsom and say, what's your relationship to Bill Gates? And see where that goes. But it's interesting, isn't it, how much detail and power this can have? And it's not limited to people. It's not limited to people or transactions. It is cool that you can do something like drop a Bitcoin transaction in here and try to trace and get its information about what wallets it works with. You can do really cool stuff here. But you can also work with domains and websites and, from a technical point of view. And you can connect not just, instead of this, you could be connecting into Alien Vault and looking, or VirusTotal, and seeing information on attacks and threats on a computer network. And you can plot it out just like this. But isn't that interesting? So you get a connection within 3 steps to Bill Gates. And I'm not saying it means anything. I don't think it does. It's just showing the power that this can do, all the public data that is at its disposal to pull this in and make something pretty interesting. And we're not even really done, to be honest with you. We have something else called the report generator. So let's go ahead and I already had a Bill Gates report in here, which didn't have any data in it. This one is now going to have the data in it. Final output of the report. It starts off with a visual representation of the graph. Here, I'll make it full screen. So you have the visual of the whole flow that we went through. And then as you get into it, it talks about the entities, the top 10, that were used and discovered. Goes through and it starts giving you entity details, what it has in its database, from LittleSis.org. You can even see it says on LittleSis.org about these transactions. Well, this is about the entities, and then the foundations and such like that, Gavin Newsom. And it just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. This report is actually 77 pages long. So the report is pretty interesting. Obviously, probably want to cut out the fat of the report, but you can see how Maltego can be used to investigate something using just public information. And this is just one plugin, and I want to emphasize that. It's one particular plugin called LittleSis, which goes to this, which is based on this organization. How they collect the data, well, that's another story. But it's all in the public sector. It's nothing It's nothing devious here. There are so many other plugins like FlightAware, Google, a variety of different plugins to help with data, basically data aggregation on a particular topic, and to see how how it connects through different means. Anyway, I hope this was useful for an introduction to the free version of Maltego using a free plugin called LittleSis.